Welcome to Beyond the Trade, where the levels don't lie, the trades hit hard, and we're here to cut through the noise. No scripts, no safety nets, just raw market talk. It was a rough Friday. Lock in. It's time to go beyond the trade.
And remember, the information discussed on Beyond the Trade is for educational entertainment purposes only. Nothing you hear on this podcast should be taken as financial advice. Always do your own research and consult a licensed professional before making any investment decisions. Holy
How
God, man. What a
how
day.
is it going? Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Man.
I mean, emergency meeting. I had to call an
Yeah,
emergency.
Friday emergency podcast. I hope that those that are listening to the podcast took some of our advice from last week and were cautious and on alert.
It I
It
I
took all week, but boy, what a day it made up for it.
so it yeah, I mean it is kind of it's pretty gruesome here. Um we did mention that we thought SPY would need to come down to about 650, which it in fact did. If you go to after hours trading, we had there was a big dump, right? I mean, but it's curling. We're good. Obviously, we're long. I'm net long. Acro is, I would assume, long. Uh, and there are some good short opportunities out there, though. I won't even lie. I may discuss it, but it gets your brain thinking about it. But this was quite the sell-off. So here at about
Yeah.
10 a.m. Central, Trump said that he is canceling his meeting with President Xi of China and that he is going to impose 100% tariff. And then after the market ended, he said, or what is it? After it closed, he said he wasn't going to have the meeting. Beforehand, he said he just said this tariff. And then after the market, he said it wasn't going to happen, right?
Yeah, I can't keep up with it anymore, honestly. I mean, I just zoned out at that point. It was an extremely rough week for me. First of all, and this one still has me, and this is, I guess, important to everybody out there that, no matter how well you think you're doing, how many rules you put in place, something always pops up that just absolutely crushes you. And for me, it was all my AMD calls that I had for weeks,
That we talked about for
that
weeks.
we talked about for weeks. I felt it was getting a little stagnant, and I was green, but I had lost some on last Friday, and I decided I'm getting rid of these calls on Friday.
And for those
I
watching, Friday was it closed at 165. Where did it open on Monday, Acro?
Yeah.
226.
I think I said this in the first or second podcast was, don't go back and look at the stuff you've already sold to see where it would have been. But I broke that rule too, and I went back and looked. And had I had held full on Friday, I basically, by selling on Friday, I gave away $80,000.
Yeah,
That
yikes.
was not it's not like I had $20,000, $30,000 in calls. I had maybe, I think I was in like $3,000, $4,000 on all my calls. So to take 3 to 4,000 and convert it to 80 grand overnight, well, over the weekend. But I woke up and my AMD folder was empty.
Hoping that
Devastated.
hoping that there would be one little crumb of AMD left.
Did I maybe miss a couple and leave a few? No, no. I got rid of everything on Friday. So that started my week. And I wasn't really into it after that. So I haven't done a lot of trading this week. I've had some other stuff I was working on. But that was a hard one to sit back and take.
And I really like what you said about how you don't go, one of your big rules is you don't go back and look at the ones that you've sold, and I completely agree with that, and I also completely agree that I break that all the time. And it's a horrible thing to do, because what I find myself doing is I'll see, okay, well, how much is that one up? Like, for example, I sold some of my core weave. This is a perfect example, I guess, for here. I sold some of my core weave at around 135, 136, which, it is where it is right now, just a percentage above that. But I added a little bit of NVTS, which I've posted some threads about, really informing my following and whoever wants to see it about why I like this trade. I got in at the low eights, so I'm pretty much equal. But I was celebrating when this thing, look at this candle. This thing got up. I mean, it was on a tear. I was like, this was the best day of my life. Look at this. It went from 810, which is about my entry, all the way up to 977 ish, and then Trump. And
Man, the volume today was insane. Look at the
yeah,
volume there.
I know. Well, the volume on this one has been insane for the last few days, but literally no reason. I did point this out on my account. Look at yesterday's volume was more than today's, and when they're, I'm asking my friends. I asked D-Book, Lane's World, shout out him. I ask him a lot of questions when I'm desperate, and I said, dude, how do you reconcile all of this? I mean, an absurd amount. Look, the last time it had this amount of volume, it went up 25%, but got higher. I was like, dude, what do you make of this? So I'm over here screenshotting charts and putting them on Chat GPT. Like, what? I mean, and here's what Lane said. He said, either something really good or something really bad. And so,
Well, let me ask you this. So you got 2 days there of big volume like that.
yeah.
With the news today and the big dump, that stock did pretty well.
Yeah, so I mean, it was
So
it was green.
how do you look at that? What's that telling you? Is that so many people are in it and still believe in it that even rattling news like what's hit the rest of the market, people don't care that are in that stock?
Yeah. So what it tells me is that I knew this one was primed. I've been talking about it for a while. A while as in like a couple weeks on Twitter, but I think it just got up so high. I mean, this thing round tripped 20% today. So I think it was just up so high, and then it just kind of sell. And people were probably seeing everything else across the market going like ARM minus 10% today. 10.
Yeah.
Like, I did take some profits there too, but by the way, and that's another one that I kind of went back and looked at. I was like, dang. But it was like on smaller positions for me, that are meant to be just kind of, hey, I want to follow this. I'll clip just like 15-20% if I get it, just put it in the bank. But here, this one, I think it was just up so much, and it had obvious volume and strength, whether it's buying or shorts closing. This thing is about 30% short, but which is about like 2 days to cover on this particular stock. I think it was just up so much that it ended up selling off and still being green.
I like it. I mean, I'm looking at those candles on the daily, or right there that you had on the was it the 5 minute?
Yeah, that was the 10 minute.
10 minute. Okay. Look at the volume at the bottom though. That news broke and the volume went way down. There weren't as many buyers or sellers.
Yeah, there was just no bid.
Everybody just stepped back.
It just trickled down with the market. There's literally no bid. I mean, and I could say that about a lot of the market. Just no bid, which is fine. And it closed green. It actually after hours went down to 753. I mean, this thing had over a $2 range. Regardless, to me, when I'm like, no matter what the stock is, whether it's NVTS or Nvidia, I don't, whatever. This when you see this high volume with very little price movement, but it didn't give up. It actually closed green. It was packed with volume, and a tiny candle means that you're probably at an inflection point. It means that somebody is either loading or someone is disposing
What's
heavily,
the what's
heavily.
the average daily volume on that?
Oh man, I have this like this is a 9 EMA or a 9 MA on the volume. This my orange line. So I'd say the average
Yeah,
volume. It says
I
30
can't
day.
see it there. My logo's over the top of that.
You're
That's why I was asking.
a 30-day average volume is about 31 million shares, and
Okay.
this traded 95 today and 122 yesterday, 123 yesterday. So
Wow.
it's an interesting play. I didn't sell any. Like I didn't sell any. It could go down. There is kind of a volume profile. Low range down to about 732. That could happen, but I'm green. I like the stock. I think it's an AI chip stock. If you want research on it, just go to Adam Sliver Trade. I've done I think one or two threads on it, but you can just search NVTS. AI, they make the AI chips more power efficient is kind of, and they were named as an approved vendor for Nvidia, and they're like the little bro in a room of like $300 billion, like 30, 50, $75 billion companies, and this company is 1.75 Bs, and in this market for this type of chip is going to be, they forecast by 2030, of all the chips that they have been like kind of approved to do for Nvidia, about a $3.6 billion market. So
Nice.
if you I have mathed out, 1%, 5%, and if this company somehow gets 10% of the revenue, that's like it means that, valuation wise, it could be like a 30, 40, $50 stock. But of course, not financial advice. Like they need to win the designs, their chips need to work. They're transferring they're not using TSMC anymore. They're using a different one. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. They just need to win. Anyways, that's it with that
Cool.
one. Um, but my baby applied digital stock. We had a wonderful earnings release today.
You've been
Unfortunately,
killing.
I mean,
You just killing it
when
on
did we
them.
start the podcast? This is episode five.
5, yeah, so a little
Five.
month ago, about a
So
month.
yeah, about a month ago, beginning of September. If you listened to us, this thing hit 39 today. If you listened to us and you started and you just said, "Whoa, Adam's buying APLD just because he thinks it's cool," you would be up 100% ish at some point. Just I mean, and I just ramble on and on and on about data center. Okay. So there's some alpha being thrown around, but yes,
Still
APLD.
the goat, buddy. You're still the goat.
Uh, you know, Now I just love research, and research is so much easier when you have Chat GPT because you can just set it on a mission, and you could. I mean, there's so much you can do. You can
Oh yeah.
dig up just. I mean, I'm used to going through financial data and uh, like press releases and earnings reports and all that stuff, but it's ChatGPT can just do it itself.
Yeah, what was the one I sent you a message about it earlier in the week? The guy from the ex-governor of Texas getting into this company that was
Yeah. Fermi.
F some yeah. But when I found it, was that just that way? I had never heard of it, and ChatGPT has asked it to give me a list of up and coming data center companies, public and private. But you give it the parameters. I mean, it spit out 30, 40 little companies that
Yeah.
you start going through them one by one and going, this sounds interesting. But this one, I'm definitely not by any means recommending or suggesting. This was what you said, which was basically that it's just a shell. They haven't done anything. They haven't built anything. They're just acquiring money at this point. And
Yep.
from my research after that conversation, you're exactly right. They're talking a big game about million square foot facilities and
Yeah.
building an entire complex, but they haven't done squat. So I mean, by no way recommending the stock, but it was interesting that how it popped up on a Chat GPT.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're partnered with Texas Tech University they're building this massive, their plan, they're not building, they have not broken ground to my knowledge. Their plan is to build this massive complex in Amarillo, Texas. I am a Texan, so I know people who know people, and so I just asked people about this specific stock because I love this data center world, and I was kind of told to be tentative and that it's an idea.
Yeah,
And
and what got me or what caught my attention on it was that it was Perry,
Rick Perry, yeah,
Rick Perry,
former,
who
yeah,
he is the ex-secretary of energy.
yeah,
And, we know how that works with the Pelosi files and everything
yeah,
else. When somebody that had a high government job gets into something in that sector, they usually get a lot of favors or things come their way. And that's why I'm like, this seems interesting. But, yeah, 10 minutes later after doing a little bit further research, there's nothing there at this point.
yeah. I mean, the only other one that I kind of wish that I would have maybe got in was Wi-Fi, WYFI. And by the way, I mentioned this on the podcast, just FYI. This thing got down to 28. This was a spin-off from Bit Digital, BTBT. They have some data center, or they're trying to build data centers, but not to the scale of, I mean, if I like this stock, why don't I just buy more APLD? It's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Why would I buy something that's even more speculative than my already speculative stock? I wouldn't even consider APLD that speculative anymore, because if you listened to anything about their earnings call, which I suspect most of you probably didn't, I did. I listened to the whole thing. They said people are talking about how getting power is the issue. They have tons and tons of people approaching them with power opportunities, just flooding them with power opportunities, and they said they're actively investigating plenty of sites in different states, not just the Dakotas. There so the more, and they said they've made plenty of mistakes along the way when they started building these data centers, these AI factories. They said they made a ton of mistakes along the way, and a lot of these kind of new folks on the block are going to suffer those same mistakes. Whereas APLD has been doing this for a few years now, and they have probably the biggest landlord lease in the market, if not one of the biggest. That's not owned by the actual hyperscaler. So regardless, I'll chill. But they said many times this is just the beginning. I really do believe them. When I saw this hit 39, every part of me wanted to take some profit, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not leaving.
Well, I think I told you I was waiting for a pullback to 20, and yeah, that doesn't look like it's going to happen. No time soon. Anyway.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Anyways, enough about me. I mean, Acro, on a day like this, it is so frustrating going into the weekend when you're just like, ugh,
Yeah, leaves a lot of you get so much unanswered things, and and I'm sure a lot of people did well today. Anybody that was long-term holding makes it a little bit tougher, and I guess what I realized today was that's probably one of the downsides of trading options when you buy time, because you've got so much time left, but when they go down like they did today, it hurts. Not to say, I mean, you got 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months on options going that, yeah, you got plenty of time. You don't really worry about it too much, but God, when you look at the profit loss for the day, it's like, that one hurt today. But I'm still holding most of it. I think the only thing I got rid of was my covered calls on HIMS, which I did earlier in the week. I got rid of those. We talked about this last time too. I sold my covered calls at $7.90, and I had an opportunity to buy them back the last week in the low threes. That opportunity hit again this week, and I closed those calls. I bought them back at $3. So that one worked out well. But then today, of course, it's underneath my strike price, so I could have bought them back for pennies today.
But
either way, made money on it.
still like 500 bucks per contract is
Per contract, right?
per contract is your gain per 100 shares. So it's a pretty good deal. Nice job there. You win some, you lose some, and that I think the reason we called this emergency one is because I was calling Acro anyways to say, man, I mean, what in the Sam hell just happened? I mean, we haven't seen anything like this in a while. And
No, and even the weird thing, though, is as devastating as it looked, those first 3-4 red candles, it was still only down 2%. I think the worst, at the end of the day, it was maybe 4%, which I didn't expect it to continue like that. But
so I do want to point out
2%
that
half the day.
the bottom on my drawing here, my very nice handy dandy drawing was 648 is where I kind of bottomed out. Let's see where SPY actually bottomed. 646, so I was pretty close. But I think this is the pullback we needed.
Yeah. It's the question now is, what do you think next week brings? Do you think it continues?
I think personally for me, this thing has kind of looks a lot like July, August did, where we had this drop and then we had this 1.7% drop there after kind of a 0.38 drop back at the end of July 31st and August 1st. But this is a little higher volume, and it was a candle that pretty much went straight down, but it was news driven. I think we needed a pullback. And I kept saying 2% pullback, 2% pull. It's got to happen eventually. And if you go back,
right,
you see these pullbacks happen. One that I could immediately think of is probably this, I think June 4th of 2021. If I'm right, that's going to be crazy. No. There was one like 5%, but you see, same thing kind of here. I expect this kind of action. Here's what we saw. Here's kind of what we saw today. And then I think we're just going to pick right back up. I think a lot of shorts got pulled in. But this should be proof, though, that people are very eager to sell. I don't think we're at the top. I don't know if I said this, but I've said it to plenty of people. We're in the volatile times, right? It's going to be volatility for a month or two, maybe more. I wish I had a crystal ball. And then we're going to have one last rip that just sends everything to the moon, and everybody thinks, wow, like we're never going to go down ever again. That's when we go down, right? It's when the Bears completely give up, and the Bears are everywhere right now. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense.
I said I'm sure on here are going to hold me to this, and I said I was going to do a video going through RSI and some other things. And I happened to post in our forum that I had not, doing this research on putting the presentation together for the RSI, when you moved out to a daily,
look at that.
SPY had not crossed down to be oversold the longest pretty much ever. It's broken overbought many times. It's not been oversold since April, where it came all the way down to the 30 line on.
Yep.
And that's a long time for it to not cycle through. And even with today, it's still at 41, which by the rules of RSI indicates it's still in an upswing.
Huh.
It's crazy. It makes no sense whatsoever. I'll go through this on the video that I'll hopefully. It's been gotten so busy this week. I wanted to get this thing done the other day, but I'll get it done. I promise.
You're a good man.
So it's an incredible indicator that when you realize SPY pretty much has been from the 50 mark and up since April, after that where it touched and it started coming back up. It's just been, it doesn't care. I mean, think of all the things that have happened in the market and news, and the market just doesn't seem to care yet. But today it sure did.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be in. I could easily picture it going a lot like this. Um, December of 2024, where we kind of just bounced up and down, and every week we were kind of holding in the same place, but it was kind of volatile ups and downs, and then finally broke out to a new all-time high, and then fell. Um,
Mm.
so partially because of tariffs and all of that talk, actually fully because of that, but which is unironically the way that we find ourselves right now. So I'm excited for that video. Please watch it because I know I will be. I don't use RSI all that much, but I do when I am desperate. Um,
It ties a few things together. So it'll be RSI, orb, and a little VWAP knowledge that I don't think most people know on how VWAP actually works, but it's pretty interesting. And when you tie it together and you can combine a couple of oscillating indicators like that, it gives you it points you in the right direction more times than not. So I'm excited to do it. I've got the notes done, and I'll try to work on it as soon as I can.
Perfect. Perfect. Acro, how do you deal with a day or a week of kind of a big loss? Like you when we talked earlier, I just went and got Chick-fil-A. When we talked on the way to me getting Chick-fil-A, you didn't sound too upbeat. How do you deal with that mentally? Because this is not the first time you've had a bad day.
No, no. You should have max losses guides that you set, and today was definitely one for me. I just walked away. I left the computer at noon and went out in the back of my shop. I'm working on getting a car that's been back there for a while out of there. So I just changed focus and let it go. It's going to do what it's going to do at that point. I basically look at it as my daily allowance was spent, so get out of here and find something else to do. You could sit there all day and try to win it back, and you just end up giving more away. So, and that comes from 5 years of doing this that regularly. So I know when to walk away, and that's a hard one it's hard to do. I mean, not saying don't sit there and watch it if you want to enjoy the misery, but that's to each their own. But I rather just close the screen and find something else to do and come back tomorrow or Monday and live. The whole goal is to live for another day. Losses happen. Think of the days you had big wins, and realize that you'll get it all back. Just be smart. Don't get frustrated with it. I mean, I'm not really frustrated. I'm just so disappointed on my Monday AMD fiasco of how much potential was there. But what do you do?
Yeah, I mean that's just woulda, coulda, shoulda. They're the killers of traders, and like just
Yeah,
like
and
you
where
said.
do you end it?
Yeah.
I can go back 5 years ago and go, my God, if I'd have bought this 5 years ago and held it, nah, it doesn't work that way.
Yep. And that's what separates those who are successful from those who are, who succumb to that emotion and then end up failing because of it, right? If you gotta just have a just like a quarterback in football, you gotta have a very, you gotta be very quick to forget, very quick.
Trading is the most psychologically intense thing I've ever done, I think. And because your brain will try to trick you into thinking, oh, I can just do this and it's going to come back more. It's such a psychological game. That is the first thing that once you get that under control, you'll be very successful. And I still struggle with it on especially days like today.
Yeah, I mean, I think making sure your stop losses are in place is super important. And if, for example, like living to fight another day, when you say you have a position that's down 20% and you don't know if you want to take the loss or not, well, think about it. If that thing goes to minus 50%, you have to make 100% on your next one or 100% on that money to make up for it. But if
Yeah.
you are only down 20%, you only need like 20 something or 30%, right? You have to think of how your, you know, how your losses, your loss percentage, how that impacts your ability to continue to grow. You're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong a lot. And you know what? Even whether you're right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Sometimes there are just anything can happen in the market. I think whether you've traded for 1 year, 1 week, or 10 years or 30 years, and you know that anything can happen in the market. You can't say, well, this is a done deal, right? I mean, anytime I tell myself this is a done deal, the opposite happens. So you just have to, whether you're holding a commons trade or whether you're holding, an option that's up 100%, you're like, oh, I'm just going to let this thing run. It's going to go up forever, or it was up 100% and then it's back down to break even and you choose to not sell at break even and then it goes red 50%, right?
Yeah.
That happens. But it was just up 100%.
Yep.
It was just up 100%. You have to know that literally everything is possible. The market does not care about your position. In fact, it's probably tricked you into taking that position and you're getting fooled, right? So
Yep.
a lot of times it's see green, take green, whether, make sure you dictate what your plan is. Like, is this a hold? Is this a trade? Is this an investment? Like, dictate it. For me, for example, I said I want to buy APLD and I want to acquire more of it over time and I want to hold it for a long time. Indefinitely. And for that reason, I don't toy with it. But, CoreWeave, that was always meant to be a trade for me. It was meant to get it's a $60 billion company that just IPO'd. The insiders are selling a lot. I saw immediate upside. I wanted to take part of that. I did. Sold it. Took some NVTS. I initially thought that I wanted it to be a trade, but then as I continue to learn more about the company, I think it could be an investment. So, always keep your plan at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah, and I would say that if you're trading every day for massive wins, you're going to look back and end up with a lot of massive losses, more so than wins. Everybody trades their own way, but I mean, if you're taking 10 contracts on options and you're up 20%, I would get rid of 3 or 4 of them right there.
Yep.
Maybe let a few ride. If I see a dip, I'm going to get rid of the rest of them, but I've already locked in some profit. And you leave a couple runners, let them go, and some of those will make you more money. Two runners will make you more money than all the other ones you already previously sold. However, if you wait and take no profit, and there you are still with 10 contracts up 50%, and all of a sudden today happens, guess what? You're now red. My biggest thing is don't trade for huge, massive daily wins. I trade and take pieces and pieces and pieces till I've got a couple left, and if the market turns on me, then I still got money already locked away.
Yep. It's a good example. I have a buddy who has a lot of PATH. They had a deal with OpenAI this week, so they ripped. And I was posting this one at $13, saying that you see these inverse head and shoulders that I feel like was forming on the daily, weekly, whatever timeline you want to look at. There was a gap fill from from high 12s to low 18s. So that was kind of where I marked my sell point for him. And he was like, dude, I've been bag holding this for a long time, but I've seen how much it's increased in just a very short period of time. Like, I know I've been holding this for years and I thought it was going to keep going down, but I really think it could go to 50 now. And I said, dude, first off, it possibly could go to 50. Maybe it gets acquired by somebody. That was my guess before we got the OpenAI deal. But I said, dude, if it gets to 18, because it's just the plan. I was like, if it gets to 18, you trim a little. You just feel what it's like to trim, right? Because sometimes you just want to hold all of it. You just want to hold all of it. You don't want to let anyone have any of it. But if you just sell a tiny bit, I told him, dude, you don't need to sell all of your shares. You don't even need to sell half. Just sell 20%. And he said, oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I could sell 20%.
Yeah.
He sold 20% at 18.20. And I said, look, whether it goes to 50 or whether it goes to 15, you're going to be glad and you're going to say, I followed the plan. It's just a principle. Look at it now. It's at 17, right? So don't you think he's happy about those ones that he did take off the table right now? He could add them back
Yeah.
at 17 if he wanted to.
Yep.
So that's kind of, you can always add your position back.
Too many people struggle with trying to catch the bottom, get in, and sell at the top, and it just doesn't. It's not. It's not a reliable way to trade. It's just not. You feel happy on the days you catch the bottom, and feel happy on the days that you caught the top, but there is no top, there is no bottom. Realistically, you take money, you're profitable, take it, put it in the bank, use it on something else to invest, and keep moving forward. Today was just, again, it was an eye opener because I would almost feel like I broke some rules with holding a few things that I held, but they have enough time on it that I'm not too concerned about it. I'm kind of at this point, I guess, living for Monday to see what happens because I don't think I don't. I import a lot of product with my business, and we were just talking about this earlier. You know, we're at I think 58% tariffs on Chinese goods right now, and my price today is less than it was a year ago.
And how does that happen?
It's subsidies from the Chinese government to the factories. It's them resourcing materials. I do some stuff in underground mining, and the compounds that are needed for the product that I sell, China started buying them from Russia at a very, very low price. So those particular products went way down in price. Chinese government comes to the factories and they say, look, you need to cut your margin. We're going to subsidize it by whatever, 10%, 20%. So they eat up the tariffs like it doesn't even exist.
I think the T word is just something that scares a lot of people.
It does, and it should. I mean, I don't necessarily agree that it's going to make us wealthy. There's going to be a lot of pain and damage in the meantime. Small businesses are going to suffer from that one. You know, I don't know for sure, but I would say that pretty much all of the retail, the big retail, they have already received their products for Christmas. So any new tariffs aren't going to affect them as far as what the price they're paying. But believe if the tariffs go to 100%, those prices are definitely going to go up in the store, even though the stores didn't pay it. That's just, I mean, they're going to capitalize on it. Funny you bring up Nike here. I got into that last week a little bit for the earnings. It actually worked out pretty good. Small play, but
Oh,
I
it
just still
did go
can't
up
believe
after earnings.
yeah.
That was a nice little earnings play, 6.5%, and then went up a little bit the next day too. Did you sell right away?
Yeah, I did. I think I held them for 2 days. It was like a 30-40% option trade.
Nice.
But I mean, to me, it blows me away that they're where they're at. They under $100 on Nikes. I would have never thought that a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, they just keep. I mean, do they just continue to suffer from the tariffs?
I think it's way more than that, honestly. I think they got some brand problems. They've got way more competition now. The clothing, I mean, itself, you know, they're a tennis shoe company, are they, or are they really a clothing company? They're a brand name company. It's like Harley Davidson. They make more money on shirt sales than they do their core product, I think.
Yeah. Huh.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's to see it down there. I was shocked when I looked at it. Oh God, I can't even think the one. It was several months ago, and I'm like, wow, I haven't looked at Nike in over a year. How did it get down here?
Yeah, I know. Kind of looks a lot like Target. The Target probably looks worse.
Oh yeah,
Ooh, ooh. Right, 270 in 2021. We're at $85 right now, but the opposites
I'm
have
still hot on that one. I got out of it. I was in it pretty heavy, maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago,
Walmart looks
and
good.
yeah,
You got
Target's
yeah,
one that I would definitely have on my daily watch list. I keep it up there quite a bit. I think it's going to run. It's at a great level right now. Look at that.
yeah. I know this 85-ish level, which is the
Hmm.
exact highs. I always just try to zoom out as far as I can and go look at the highs and the lows. Old supports turn resistance and vice versa. Um,
Yeah, it's
right.
back to an old support level, and it has
Of
been. It's been bouncing around there.
2015. That's crazy, huh? We're lower on this one than COVID.
Yeah.
Um,
Crazy thing with them. My daughter worked for Target years ago,
huh.
and she would tell me about a guy that would walk in there and literally load up a shopping cart with like Dyson vacuum cleaners and just walk out the door, put them in his van, and leave without paying for them.
Oh my
And he would,
gosh.
yeah, he would hit like 5 or 6 targets on a regular basis. And I'm like, why don't you call the police? She said, well, we're told not to interact with them. We're told to let
What?
them go. It's already built in for the store loss. I'm like, that right there gave me a really bad taste for Target
That is
as an investor.
yeah, as an investor, that's not the best business model.
No,
Well,
but hey,
how, yeah. How do you plan to approach Monday? I know we're trying to get all this emotion out on the table right now, and then I want to hear two things, and I'm going to respond as well. How are you going to approach Monday, and then what do you think comes out of this all this tariff talk?
I will spend probably Sunday evening, since we don't have to do a podcast now and we're getting it out of the way. I will spend Sunday looking for the biggest losers that happened today and dive into them a little bit further to see was it justified or not. In most cases, I mean, everybody took a hit today, or a vast majority, but I'll look for the biggest losers and key in on the names that I like and probably start limping into some long-term options on those tickers.
Love it, love it.
So like Tesla, I think is one that's I actually still have some that I'm holding options, but they're end of November. I will probably start looking at maybe year-end options on Tesla because I think 500 is not far away.
No, not at all. Hey, my drawing on this one is pretty good.
Yeah, you did that one a couple weeks ago when we were talking about it. I remember you drawing that on there, and I'm like, God, I hope he's right.
This one was wrong. But yeah, you can 370 370. I doubt I really doubt it gets there. But hey, if it does, maybe in like I feel like a lot, this was kind of to me approaching Monday is, you know, I'm going to pay attention to all the news over the weekend, but not too much. Of course, when all this happened, I just went out and walked outside without my phone, and spent some time with my dog. But I think come Monday, I'm gonna see really what sectors are doing well, which ones are not. I would expect the kind of like Acro said, the biggest losers to probably pop back a little bit, but I wouldn't just buy something because it lost a lot. I would make
Mm-hmm.
sure that it's something that's at a good support level. Level. You got to boil it down to the levels because if something just broke a key support, it's going to be a lot harder to break back through that support because now that's a resistance. So, you know,
That's a great point.
you
Looking for ones that today cause them to go back to a support level, but not necessarily break it or don't break it on Monday. But again,
exactly.
we don't know what Monday holds. Trump could say something else, and we take another 4% hit on SPY. I mean,
I
there's
mean, this chart looks, in my eyes, not good. It just does not look good. It looks like a liquidity grab up there. It's going to go back down to 121. I could be completely wrong, right? But
this is on core weave.
this is core weave. Yeah,
Yeah.
core weave looks like it had a liquidity grab, which was above the pre earnings from August. Uh, prices of 148-ish, and CoreWeave broke into the 150s today, closed at 138. This is one that I'm watching for about the 120s. It's probably a buy for me. Another interesting buy, if you're looking for one, Broadcom, AVGO is potentially, I mean, pretty big candle here today. It's at a key support. Maybe it breaks it, maybe it doesn't. I would suspect, if anything, it probably taps 317 at the worst and then gives you a chance to get in. So, and that brings me to my point is I think come Monday we'll see a little bit of selling at the beginning of the session or in pre-market. Shoot, if we want to gap down and then just run it up, I'm totally fine with a pretty big gap down, because that means the bulls are just going to and just rip it right back up, put in a nice hammer candle, and that'll stick in at least a intermediate bottom there. I think that we're going to get some sort of, we could open lower. And I think, but if we close in some sort of like doji, like just we gap down a little bit and it's just an indecision candle where it closes about where it opens and it's not on like too much volume, but it's still lower. I mean, that will not be with an equal sized wick on both sides of the candle. That's not good. We want to get a nice big lower wick here on higher volume and hopefully green to some degree. Again, high volume. So I expect a push back up come Monday, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It obviously is all going to depend on what the news cycle is making happen.
Yeah, and on these longer runs, I mean, these runs have been going on for a long time. When the longer the run, usually the bigger the dump when it does dump. All the institutional money wants to take profit and get out. And hopefully they all did that today, but they'll be looking to get back in on Monday.
They always say, stair step up, elevator down.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is it? Do you kind of agree with me? Like, does your
I think we're both
drive?
on the same page there. With we got Monday's going to answer some questions that today left unanswered, obviously.
Yeah, and I think over the weekend, maybe there's a chance that Trump talks more about how they're going to come to some sort of agreement, or they are going to meet. That would be bullish, or just kind of waves it off and says, just kidding, anything along those lines.
Or he's going to announce that we just purchased Newfoundland or New Zealand or whatever the hell it is he wants for all these rare earth.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows at this point? It really...
These are all threats. I mean, of course, there's a November 1st date that he put on it, but it's really these things can, as you saw back in April, like these are just these move on a whim. I mean,
Iceland, that's the name I was looking for.
Iceland, yeah.
We bought Iceland, folks. We're all good on the rare earth stuff. Watch the market go crazy.
But it can be something as silly. I mean, just we're still going to meet, but
I thought that was a late news thing today. I could be wrong. Maybe I read it wrong. That he mentioned that the meeting was still on, or he hadn't canceled the meeting yet.
Yeah,
or something like that.
So he came out, and apparently some news site said that he had canceled the meeting, but then he came on and was doing an address. And talking to the press and said, no, we haven't canceled the meeting. I think we will still have the meeting. So obviously he saw the way that the stock market reacted to what he put out there.
Have you ever seen him shy away from a meeting? Come on.
Yeah, no. I think he was trying to bolster, but really all that this is just trying to negotiate, and us saying, we're going to put 100% tariffs. It doesn't mean that we're actually going to get to 100% tariffs. If anything, I see potential upside from it, because sure, maybe the market just tried to price in 100% tariffs, and now we have the ability to say, hey, rug pull is on that. Psych. We're not doing 100% tariffs. We're just keeping it the way it was. Then the market flies.
The other byproduct of going to 100% tariff is you're literally draining money from China at this point. And it goes to 100%. How much more can they subsidize to factories? How much more can they buy from Russia at, pennies on the dollar? I don't think there's very much. And what happens then is it starts opening up the market to other countries. Now all of a sudden European products become very competitive. Brazilian products. They're exporting an awful lot of stuff nowadays. You have countries like Vietnam and they're in an industrial revolution, in a sense right now. So it hurts China more than it does anybody else, but it hurts us for sure. But China is the one that will take the brunt of it while giving opportunity to other countries. So I don't see it happening. I mean, I think both of them will have some sort of talk here over the weekend or love letters going back and forth, and there'll be some memo that comes out that we're still meeting. Was he supposed to meet in a week and a half, something like that? Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I think what the advice that we just talked about is wait till Monday, look at some of the big losses on individual stocks, do some research on before market opens on Monday, find out, is this really a good buy the dip, or if you don't see what you want Monday morning, hold off, be patient.
Yeah, regardless, be patient. I think that's probably the biggest thing we can say here. Be patient. Don't rush to buy the knife. We're not in the business of calling tops or calling bottoms. Just try to get in as much as you can and capture some of that move, but you do not have to capture all of it.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, that's it for another episode of Beyond the Trade. Please follow, subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating. Give us a like. And I'll talk to you all next week. And
share with your friends. Repost some of our stuff. Help us out on growing the following here. The more we get the follow, we get some guests on here, and the show, I think, will just continue to get better and better.
Absolutely. And it's not for a lack of good calls. We've already had plenty of those. So
Plenty.
All right.
I'm kicking myself for not listening to some of your calls.
Well, there's plenty more where that came from.
That's right. You're the GOAT. That's why.
You too. Well, until next time, everybody, have a good weekend.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend.